Oh, excuse me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's me, your boy Black Voice, and we're live in the living room. I just want to say what's up to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is about Dr. Umar Johnson and Roland Martin. Dr. Umar Johnson was on this show that's aired on TV One, and it was an interesting conversation. I'm gonna play, a little bit of it, and I would like to get y'all. I'm gonna give my opinion, but I also want y'all to just pay attention. And I want y'all to leave comments at the bottom and give y'all opinion as well, because I do look at them and I will respond. All right.
That for folks who did not hear.
Certainly. Simply put, any black man who is with a woman who's not an African herself is going to have a difficult time getting respect from me. I believe black men need to be with black women. The black family is under attack. Only 1 out of every 4 black women gets married. The black woman is last likely to get married. She's the last married, the first divorced. We have what? 2/3 of our children being raised by working class and impoverished single black female-led households. The destruction of a nation begins in the home of its families. And if we want to save black people, we have to save the black family. And in order to do that, black men have to commit themselves to black women.
So when you talk about not getting your respect, so if that's the case, you're saying President Barack Obama to get your respect because his dad married a white woman?
Oh, not at all.
Would Harry Belafonte?
Not at all. I want to be very clear about something. As Pan-Africanists, the product of an interracial union is an African. I have heroes who are biracial. Some of the grandfathers of Pan-Africanism were of mixed racial ancestry. You don't blame a child for how they got here.
But I'm asking you this here. Harry Belafonte is a white wife. No respect for him?
It would be very, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your social status.
So no. That's your social, I'm talking about one who put the work.
Right, but you put him out.
No, I'm asking you. So Harry Belafonte.
Yes, sir.
Sidney Poitier. Julian Bond. Vernon Jordan.
And you're naming all them to say what?
No, these are all African American men who have
done some good things.
No, who married white women. But you said any black man who marries a white woman will not get your respect.
Can I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
And what I'm telling you is this. I don't care who you name. I don't care how much work you did for black people. Your greatest commitment to black people is being committed to a black woman. It is still a contradiction. No matter how much you think you did for the struggle, if you really were concerned with black people, you would commit yourself to a black woman. So it doesn't matter how successful they are. It doesn't matter how great you may claim them to be. At the end of the day, you didn't think enough about your own people to marry a woman who looks like you.
Frederick Douglass.
Yes, sir. An ancestor of mine.
So when you say ancestor, what does that mean?
Let me break it down.
Because, again, some have said you tried to claim that you are a descendant of Frederick Douglass.
Okay, so let's deal with that.
So hold on 1 second. Here's a statement from the family. Let me go ahead and read this, please. The family of Frederick Douglass has received numerous inquiries about Umar Johnson questioning his relationship to Frederick Douglass. There have also been questions about his legitimacy of his PhD and the handling of the donations he's received for his school that he is promoting. We can tell you with 100% certainty that he is not a descendant of Frederick Douglass. With that being said, Mr. Johnson is very careful not to bill himself as a descendant, but he doesn't correct people when they refer to him in this way. He calls himself a blood relative, which is a nebulous reference designed to make people think he is a descendant. We have researched his explanation of being a blood relative to the great abolitionist. Some of the information he provides is accurate, but an extremely important piece of his explanation with regards to a documented relative of Frederick Douglass is false. The information he recites correctly is from the public record, so his knowledge of our family ancestry is far from definitive proof.
2 things there. 1, he's not a descendant of Frederick Douglass, okay? I would concur with that, all right? But then 2, you also heard that some of the things he says is correct. So the question becomes, he's either related or he's not, okay?
So are you related?
I'm about to answer your question.
Okay.
Allow me to do that. I am a blood relative of Frederick Douglass. My name is on the family tree. We have a family reunion every 2 years. What they're talking about, and I want to make sure you're clear, they're talking about whether or not I come through the loin of Frederick Douglass, which I do not, nor have I ever claimed, okay? I have more videos on YouTube than any other scholar. I speak around the world more than any other scholar. Show me where I've ever said I was a descendant. I've only claimed one thing, kinsman. How am I kinsman? If you ever read any of the autobiographies of Frederick Douglass, he talks about growing up on Tuckahoe Creek with Cousin Stephen. Cousin Stephen is Stephen Bailey, Dr. Umar Johnson's 4 times great-grandfather, whose grave I just visited last week. I go every year. Okay, that's my 4 times great-grandfather. He married my 4 times great-grandmother, Caroline Wilson Bailey. From that union came my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, the first black public school teacher on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. He married Grandmom Annie. They had Grandmom Caroline. Okay, she had Grandma Vivian. Grandma Vivian married a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant, Grandpop Cicero. They had Grandmom Ida, who's still alive, who married James Johnson, who had my father Jamal, who married my mama Barbara, and from that union I was born. I am a blood of Bailey. I am not married in. What they're talking about is strictly descendancy, something I've never claimed. Am I a kin? Do I directly come from the loin of the first cousin and potentially half-brother of Frederick Douglass? And the reason I say potentially, the slave master who owned our family, a white man named Aaron Anthony, raped Frederick's mother and raped Stephen's mother, my ancestor. And there's significant evidence to suggest that. Some people could still argue, though, that they were not brothers because it's not conclusive. Fine, throw that out. I'm still a kinsman because I come through the blood of his first cousin.
You talk about, again, respect. You respect.
I don't talk about respect. I get tremendous respect from my people.
I'm not talking about that. Do you respect Frederick Douglass?
Obviously, yes.
But he had a white wife.
He did.
So that's what I'm trying to.
I'm gonna clarify.
Why is that an issue? Why is that if you put in the work and you have the history? Who cares who you marry?
I already answered that question, and I told you I don't care how much work you put in. If you don't commit yourself to a black woman, ultimately you wasn't totally committed to the struggle.
Even Frederick Douglass.
Even Frederick Douglass has to be criticized, as I did on the Breakfast Club. Now, it has to be put in context. He didn't marry the white woman until he was an old man, after his wife, Anna Murray Douglass, of 50 years, a blue-black chocolate woman through whom all my cousins were born. He was an old man when he did it, but nonetheless, he did it. And yes, he has to be criticized on that, because a black man needs to be with a black woman, and it is a contradiction. I don't care how much work you think you've done for black folks to not commit yourself to a black woman.
Hold tight 1 second, I got more questions when we come back.
I would argue the reason black men marry white women is because they wish they were white themselves, and having the white man's prize, his queen, is a psychological symbol to myself that I am equal to him.
We're back with Dr. Umar Johnson. In that particular statement, the family also addressed this here. You talked about taking over the buildings or the land of a black school that was shut down.
Yes, sir.
HBCU.
St. Paul's College.
And you were raising money for it. First of all, how much money has been raised, and what's the status of that project?
Well, St. Paul's has been sold. Approximately 3 to 5 months ago, I was told by the auction company in charge of the sale that it was been sold to a developer.
So how much money was raised? What the people gave? All people gave. How much was raised, and what's the status of that?
$700,000, and the status is we're still looking for a school, and the status is my start date for FDMG will be 8/21/18, or if at all, it may be delayed to 8/21/19, which is the anniversary of the Nat Turner War.
We say looking for a school. Why not start a charter school? Well, you can start a school.
Because charter schools are owned by the state, and I'm a Pan-Africanist. I believe what is to be done for black people must be done by black people. Why do I want a charter school?
So you want a private school?
Exactly. Independent school.
Lauren.
So the question of interracial marriage,
Yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
come on, man. You're too smart for this. We got 43.
Smart for what?
We got 43 million black people in this country.
And that
and
means
over
what?
190 million white people. You're gonna sit here and say that
If
if
you
a
got half the black
white person get married, a black person, and white person get married, one can't understand the other person's struggle. You've seen
It's not about
Tim Wise,
individual-
right? You've seen
It's
Reverend
about
Wallace. You've
systematic
seen white people who
empowerment.
understand racism very well.
That doesn't mean you're going to do anything about
The other thing that
it.
is obviously true is they understand racism when you see things like the murder of Medgar Evers, like the murder of Martin Luther King. They understand racism
and
just
what
fine.
did they do
They
about it?
understand us gaining just fine, and that's why murder happened.
Based on what?
So,
I will play some more, but Dr. Umar is right. What have they done systematically? So always a black person saying, well, I have a white friend, he or she is very cool, you know, he doesn't call me a nigger. Of course, everybody understands racism. Come on now, even white supremacists understand racism. So what she's saying is stupid and ludicrous. I will keep on playing it.
that somehow a white person can't understand our struggle?
I
No
could
way.
care less what they understand. I'm
No
asking
way.
you, what have they done systematically
He already
to
told you
improve the
that.
opportunities
He
of
already
white folks?
told you
He
that.
did not tell
Oh,
me
yes,
that.
you did tell
He
me
did
that.
not tell me that.
You're going to tell me that guys like Tim Wise and Reverend Wallace don't understand
What about
race in
Tim
America?
Wise?
They don't understand race
He
in America?
articulates
They don't-
racism,
So
but
all-
what has he done to
There are no white
systematically
people that understand race in
eliminate it?
America.
There's not
no
a white
people.
person
There's
in
no
America.
white people understand
second.
race in America.
There's not a white person.
Then I'm going to Eugene.
There's not a white.
She can't answer the question. He said, what have they done systematically? What have they done systematically to help stop racism and oppression? This idiot can't even answer the question. He's asking her over and over again. She keeps saying the same thing. They understand racism. They understand racism. Fucking idiot.
Person in America who has ever worked to systematically eliminate the white privilege that they benefit from vis-a-vis your oppressor.
You
You're
know,
a liar.
you know
Eugene,
190 million people in America.
Eugene.
We're not going to go there. We're not. I have.
Called me a liar and you're cool.
Well, it's a fact that
Watch
you're
how you
lying.
talk
It's
to
a
me.
fact
Watch
that you're
how I
lying.
talk
It's
to
a
you.
fact that you're
I
lying.
understand you.
To say that.
No, everybody, 1 second. Several things I don't allow. I don't allow the N-word. I don't allow coon. We can talk to one another and disagree, but I do not use racial epithets against
And
black
that's
people.
fine, but he called me a liar.
No.
the language needs to be watched on both
Racial
sides.
epithets will not be used on this show
And that's fine.
by anybody.
But how we
No,
talk
no,
to each
but
other
you
needs
can
to be
say
different.
whatever you want, but no racial epithets will be used on this show about black people to black people. Eugene, your question.
So, from your paradigm, from your perspective, Civil Rights Act isn't an act of white folk stepping up on behalf of black folk. Current criminal justice reform legislation movement isn't a current act of white folk stepping up on behalf of black folk. Folk that funded the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s isn't an act of white folk stepping up on behalf of black folk.
First of all, that motherfucker got a speech impediment. This ugly motherfucker can't even talk right. Like, he's one of the people that's quick to say, what about black on black crime? All white peoples ain't bad. He's trying to do the soft shoe corner, but I think he's about to go full fledged. Let's keep watching.
An American, because I define myself as an American, an African American.
Sure you do.
I live in a country that moves forward together. And I say that as a Republican. We move forward together. Yes, we have individual struggle. Yes, we have struggles.
I'm not talking
Yes, we
about
have.
you.
Yes, no. Yes, we have.
Talking
We
about
have
systematic.
systematic.
Disproportionality.
We have
Finish it 15 seconds and
we have systematic struggles, and together as a country, we move forward to defeat those struggles.
Really? So, based on what you said, I want you to give me examples of white folk, not individuals, but systematically.
Like the individuals.
Excuse me.
Why can't they be
Excuse
individuals?
me.
1 second.
I know you can't wait.
1 second answer, but 1 second answer.
Can I finish?
Go.
Okay, I'm going. Okay? You cannot name anything systematically done ever in this country by white people to equal the playing field for black folks.
The Civil Rights Act, Congress literally sits behind us. The Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act.
Are you
Both of them.
Are you aware?
And can
Both of them.
White people are
Second.
proud of you, son.
Scott Bolger.
I think the terminology and the narrative being used is a little misleading, not from you, but from this dialogue right here.
Okay.
It's one thing to sympathize with the struggle. It's another one to empathize with the struggle. Very different. When you talk about marriage being a political choice, and that one of the arguments that you made that I tend to agree with is that if you don't marry a black woman, then she can never support and comfort and value your day-to-day struggle as a black man. That being said, I do think that the level of the rhetoric that you use in regard to your Pan-Africanism is difficult for many of us, quoting the mainstream, to get our arms around. But this issue about black men and white women in the civil rights struggle is not a new discussion. My mother was a civil rights activist in Chicago, and she would often complain privately that, one, you can't sleep white and talk black, if you will. And that's always been in the American struggle, African-American struggle with ourselves. The other thing is that we struggle with our own psychology about self-love and otherwise. And if we get our arms around that, that does make sense.
But you would have to say that you know 190 million people.
But you're being too...
One second.
You would have to claim that.
1 second. Answer the question.
You have to claim
No,
that.
go ahead and respond. Go ahead.
And I agree with my brother's
Scott.
comments. Brother Scott. He brought up the Civil Rights Bill. But what he did not talk about in relation to the Civil Rights Bill is there were two words included in that bill that ultimately served to take away from black people what that bill was intended to deliver. They added gender and they added sexual orientation. And as a result of that, white women and homosexuals have been able to strip black America from the intended gains of the Civil Rights Act. So there was still racism in that bill if you will study that history.
So Umar, your question was, has anyone black ever systematically done, has anyone white ever systematically done anything?
Systematically. White America.
So LBJ would be the answer for that, because that's the government.
No, I don't think you
That's a
heard the question.
systematic move.
No, you didn't hear the question. No, you did not. No,
Yeah, I
you
did.
didn't.
Yeah, I
You're
did.
so quick to defend white folks that you're not listening.
No, I'm not trying to
I
defend
only
white
have
folks.
45 seconds, so restate the question and give an answer. You got 45 seconds.
Get an answer.
The question was, what has white America done?
Right.
Not individuals. Systematically. You won't even let me finish.
Yeah, because
You're not in love with white folks. You won't even let me
Finish literally 20 seconds.
There is no bigger system than the
20 seconds, I'll finish.
No.
And in 20 seconds, I would say that the panel that you have here, who are extremely intelligent, do not represent the everyday black man and woman struggles, and then because of that, they can articulate.
And you represent 43 million people in this
All
country.
right,
I don't think so.
Weekdays on TV.
Okay. Let me go ahead and give my opinion, because I've been keeping y'all here for a while, so thank y'all for tuning in. I think I see where Dr. Umar was going, and I see what he was trying to say and what he was trying to do. And do I agree with everything he said? Majority of it. I don't agree with anything that woman said or that other guy that was debating with Dr. Umar. I don't agree with anything he said. I can look at them and tell they full of shit and they shuck and jive and buck dance every time white folks come around. I can just tell by looking at them. I think Roland Martin is a disrespectful dude, and I feel like he wanted to defend the other guest that he had on the show, but excuse me, he should have defended Dr. Umar, because at the end of the day, he did disrespect Dr. Umar. So Dr. Umar disrespected him, which is only fair. But anyway, the older gentleman, he's older, so he's going to be more settled and more calmed down. So I definitely respect everything he said, and I felt where he was coming from. So kudos to him. And Roland Martin is the type of person that he also does some soft shoe coning. He, was the problem with black folks and struggles is so many single parent households, and he one of them type of people when back in the 60s and 70s, even before then, we had the men was in the house and blacks were still struggling. So, but anyway, I give Dr. Umar a lot of kudos and a lot of credit. He definitely won whatever you call. I wouldn't even call it a battle or a debate. I call it a debate because they could not answer the question. They would talk in circles. They would constantly talk in circles, which let me know further that Dr. Umar Johnson won that debate. See, he said those people was intelligent, but he really didn't mean that. He wanted to, but he didn't want to disrespect them. Because there wasn't nothing intelligent about the other guests that was on there. So for that older gentleman. The rest of them was some idiots that have no common sense and buck dance. But anyway, I'm about to get out of here. It's me, Black Voice. Once again, we're live in the living room. Go to the bottom of that description box. Hit that like button. Subscribe. I thank y'all for tuning in. Donate if you want to. Y'all have a good one. Peace.